pretrial hearing is scheduled to take place in a couple of weeks in the case of a Florida woman accused of trapping her boyfriend inside of a suitcase and filming him crying out for help. Sarah Boone is charged with second-degree murder in the death of Jorge Torres Jr. 3 years ago. Boone told investigators that she and Torres were drinking wine at home while playing a game of hide and seek. Boone said she eventually passed out in bed, but when she woke up, she checked a suitcase that Torres was reportedly hiding in and found him unresponsive. But during the investigation, police found videos on Boone's phone recording Torres as he tried to escape the suitcase. Boone's defense attorney said he'll present a battered spouse defense at trial. There were reports of intimate partner violence between the two. Boone's next court date for that pretrial hearing is scheduled for March 28th. And to kind of give you an idea of evidence that we expect to see, here's Boone's 911 phone call from the day in question.
Now tell me exactly what happened there.
My boyfriend and I were playing last night, and I put him in a case and we were playing, and like kind of hide and seek kind of thing. So I fell asleep, and I woke up, and he was dead in the suitcase. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. It's like he has like blood coming out of his mouth, and I don't know if like he had like an aneurysm or what happened.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay. Listen, we're getting help out there too. Okay. Is he hanging from somewhere or what, ma'am?
No, I pulled him out of the suitcase. I tried giving him CPR.
Okay. So he was in a suitcase?
Yes, and I fell asleep.
Okay. How old is the boyfriend, ma'am? 42-year-old male. All right. Listen to me. Okay. I just need to confirm this one. All right. I understand. I just need to confirm this. Is he awake at all? Is he conscious at all?
No. He's purple.
Is he breathing?
No.
Boone said in her interrogation that Torres Jr. could have gotten out of the suitcase at any point, but investigators challenged that claim.
You vividly remember this when you told us last night that he was laughing, you were laughing, you put him in the suitcase, he has two fingers sticking out, and you go to bed. Now we see something totally different, and it actually shows you upset and, again, using derogatory terms to him when he's begging for his life to get out of that suitcase.
So
what
my thing
you
is
say we're assuming, we're not assuming, we're telling you what's on there.
So it just happened to be that whenever I was videotaping or doing whatever else it was, just happened to not have that in it.
Okay. And you also in the video, you can't see any holes. There's nowhere in that where the zipper separates and you can see a hole. If there's a hole, he's pushing on it, begging you to get out. We should probably see that hole.
He eventually would have been able to get out.
Yeah.
Alcohol.
Based off what you're telling us, he should have been able to get out.
Okay.
But the video shows him attempting to get out, begging to get out, and he can't. So that's just what we're trying to figure out. I don't know if maybe you had too much to drink, you zipped it up all the way, and then, you know.
I did not zip it up all the way.
Okay, well.
Brian, you must have argued, battered spouse defense or syndrome before. How do you think that's going to work here?
Yeah, so I have, Jesse, in the cases that I've prepped for and also I've seen, it's a very different scenario than in this case. It's the wife sleeping next to the husband who's abusing her for decades, years, whatever you want to say, and then turns around and stabs him in his sleep because that's the only opportunity that she has. The idea is it's PTSD and that this partner, oftentimes a woman, is in such a hell that in that slight moment where they can get away, they use violence as a form of almost self-defense. But trapping in a suitcase, recording, laughing, mocking, well, those facts are, I think, where the defense fails in trying to raise this issue of IPV.
Yeah, Terri, so we chose not to play the audio of Torres trying to get out of the suitcase because it's just incredibly disturbing, but the jury's probably going to see it during a trial. How do you think that's going to impact them?
Oh, it's going to really impact that jury, and I think it's going to have an impact on the ultimate verdict here. I had a chance to see that video. I wish I had not seen it. You cannot unsee something like that. And listen to his voice as he's begging her, Sarah, please open the suitcase. I cannot breathe. And I think if the jury sees that, they're going to understand this was not an accident. She was not drunk. She was videotaping him, begging for his life. And so I definitely think that it's something that should get into evidence. There should be no problem getting this in. It's an admission of sorts. And of course, I think if that jury hears the begging and the pleading for life, they're going to turn and think this woman is guilty and she should go to jail for the rest of her life.
Really disturbing case. I know it presents kind of an interesting legal question, a legal defense, but for right now it doesn't seem like it has much weight. Three men accused of gunning down an up-and-coming rapper are still on the brink of finding out their fates. The jury in the XXXTentacion murder trial has now deliberated for more than 12 hours. XXXTentacion's real name was Jose Onfroy. In 2018, he was robbed and shot to death while leaving a motorcycle dealership. Prosecutors presented a really lengthy case, pointing the finger at Michael Boatwright as the triggerman, Trayvon Newsom as the second gunman, and Dedrick Williams as the ringleader and getaway driver. Now, the star witness was another co-defendant, Robert Allen, who pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and robbery charges. With a possibly reduced sentence up for grabs, he testified against his alleged accomplices while also detailing his role in the crime. Only one defense team actually presented a case. Michael Boatwright's attorney, Joseph Kemock, called a Broward County sergeant and detective to poke holes in the investigation. On Monday, the jury wanted to review text messages that were connected to the defendants. Now, the court couldn't give them access to everything on the phones due to privacy issues, but instead went through nearly 1,000 messages on a screen. The jury is going to continue those deliberations on Tuesday. Time to bring in my co-host, legal analyst, to give us some insight here, defense attorney Brian Buckmeyer, former trial attorney Terri Austin. It's good to have you both here. Terri, so far, jury, relatively quiet. They did have that one question about Dedrick Williams. Does it give you any insight into their deliberations right now?
I don't understand what is taking them so long. The evidence was clear with the videos, and of course they had the cooperating witness, Allen, who testified as to what each of their role was. But when they start asking about what the role was of one individual, it leads me to believe that perhaps they think not everyone is as culpable. And so perhaps they are thinking that as the driver, he was not as, guilty as the rest. But we all know if you're in the scene and you are there when the crime is being committed, you're going to be charged, and chances are you're also going to be convicted. So maybe they're trying to separate the roles.
Brian, let's play out a scenario here. Could the jury come back with verdicts, maybe one defendant at a time, or do they have to decide all three before coming back?
Jesse, I think that's what's causing the issue here, that they're looking at each and every individual defendant, as Terri is pointing out, and I think that they're trying to come out with a verdict for all three at once. But when they maybe decide on one defendant, then that pulls into question how much did the other defendant actually participate in. Yes, it's the idea of in for a penny, in for a pound. If you're there, you're all convicted. But you can't just merely be present at the scene of a crime to be convicted of the charges. So I think the jury is fighting over, okay, how much did this person do, how much did that person do, and then trying to present all at once, and that's why we're getting a delay.
We will wait and see. We will wait and see when the jury comes back. Crazy, it's a longer deliberation than the Alec Murdaugh trial. And we promise to keep you updated on the case of Paul Flores, the California man convicted of killing Kristen Smart almost 30 years ago. The judge officially sentenced Flores to 25 years to life in prison, calling him, quote, a cancer to society. 19-year-old Kristen Smart vanished in 1996 while attending California Polytechnic State University. She was officially declared dead in 2002. Prosecutors said that Flores was the last person to see Smart alive and either raped her or tried to do so before killing her in his dorm room. In 2021, investigators used ground-penetrating radar on Flores' property to uncover items that were connected to the case. In October, Flores was convicted of Smart's murder, while his father, who prosecutors accused of helping hide Smart's body, was acquitted of being an accessory to the crime. After 26 years, Smart's body has never been found.